Secure some price for Thursday, January 8th, 2026. We're a presentation of Bet365 coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio here at the Historic Wall Center. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Matt Segarra alongside Blake Price, Mike Rogerson and his four Junos hitting switches and conducting things. We have a big show for you. We have an early show for you with the Vancouver Canucks in Detroit tonight to face the Red Wings. A game two of this Eastern road trip. We're now into the second half of the NHL schedule. Of course, Canucks coming off that loss against Buffalo. They've got the Canadian Eastern teams in Columbus yet.
I'm sure everybody's driving home early from work to make sure they get puck drop in the first period of the Wings versus the Canucks, given the ramifications of the game. The big one.
Over the holidays, I recently watched that Russian 5 documentary again, which is really well done, about the Red Wings and bringing over Sergei Fedorov and Vladimir Konstantinov, and then, of course, the others who joined them, Kozlov, Larionov, and Fetisov.
Yes.
Fabulous documentary, and like the cloak and dagger stuff in terms of getting Fedorov in particular out because he defected at the Portland Goodwill games and defected in the coolest possible way as only Sergei Fedorov could. Honestly, McGillney and Fedorov, the two coolest cats in the world, like we're just blasé about a defection with KGB officials around. Anyways, terrific documentary. I noticed something when watching it. And this is especially clear to me because I've covered football as well. Football players, basketball players, residents call the city Detroit. Hockey people call it Detroit. Because of grapes, I think.
The odd hockey person calls it Detroit.
No, honestly, Blake.
It's old school hockey people call it Detroit. Maybe.
Exactly. Like if you saw Gordie Howe, you call it Detroit.
Makes no sense. Never did for me.
Well, there is an IT there at the end, so they want to hit that syllable.
Okay.
Our daily poll question, should the Vancouver Canucks trade Jake DeBrusk? We asked this because there's a little bit of smoke around DeBrusk now. Darren Dreger told us earlier in the week the Canucks would like to trade DeBrusk. David Pagnotta told us yesterday that, look, they're listening on DeBrusk. If there are certain scenarios that would make sense for the Vancouver Canucks, then they might be willing to go to Jake DeBrusk and say, hey, look, no, you've got full trade protection, but if you would like, we're getting interest from here, we're getting interest from there. You tell us. We're obviously a bit of a different team than what you signed up for last summer. And, of course, we suspect some of that interest, if they can make the cap work, is from his hometown Edmonton Oilers, who could really use some support scoring around Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and their top offensive guys. I'll go first here, Blake. And I suspect it's going to be a similar answer to you. And I hate when we agree on things, but, it's organic. We don't try not to fake things very much on this show. I'm not deterred by DeBrusk's contract. There are certain players whose contracts going forward I'm a little bit wary of. Connor Garland's would be one. Thatcher Demko's would be another. I feel a little bit better about DeBrusk's contract. It's not quite as expensive as Connor Garland's. It ends sooner. He's a little bit younger. As we told you yesterday, he went into last night's play third in the NHL in power play goals. The streakiness does drive me a little crazy when, he's like 9-10 without a goal. But he got that healthy scratch. He has really responded to that. there's part of me that shudders to think where their goal scoring would be without Jake DeBrusk. And do I think he could still be a reasonable player for them? Again, on 5.5, which is going to look better and better as these cap jumps go along. Do I think he can be not core, but support player for them when next they are competitive? Yeah, I think that too. If the no-move clause is going to limit his market and the Canucks return, then I'm a no on this. I mean, if you, like any guy, if you get the Godfather offer, sure. But I think you can build a healthy case for rebuffing Jake DeBrusk overtures that may be fair, but I think you need more than fair. I think you need to be, socks knocked, basically.
See, you're on the no side just below the bar for yes, and I'm on the yes side just above the bar for no.
Okay, so
I'm a lowercase y yes.
Okay.
For much of what you just talked about, I'm just pushed a little bit beyond that. That at 29 years of age, am I scared about the next 2 or 3 years on that contract? No, but years 4 and 5, not because of the cap hit, but just like, are you using the guy? Is he effective in those last 2 years? Not sure on that. I think it's because of the cap hit, it's not a crazy gamble to use the contract for the duration that is. But if you can get out from underneath it and you get a fair trade for it, yeah, I can be convinced that's trade worth doing. If he was 27, if this is year one of a UFA contract, he's 27, you got him for 5 more years. No, I don't really see that. But going to 34 with a guy who's not super fast, he's not prolific, just a nice winger. Yeah, sure, you can find those guys elsewhere. So
he's been a reasonably durable player in his career. I like that about him too. I mean, he played all 82 for the Canucks last year. He won't play all 82 this year because he had the one healthy scratching, but he's played 41, so he's been there every year. He played 80 in Boston the year before that. It's only once with the 82, but oftentimes early in his career, he was a scratch here or there. I mean, 70, 68, 65, 77, 64. Like that. Not to mention, he has been a very effective playoff player. I know we're a long way from the Stanley Cup playoffs with the Vancouver Canucks, but you take a look at his playoff totals, Blake. Like they're excellent.
9 goals in his last 20 playoff games.
11 points in 13 games last time he was there. 6 in 7 games the time before that. There was even some success as a young player in his couple dips into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I like that about him too. Dreger said to us on Tuesday that his critics around the league would deal with the streakiness if there was a more well-rounded player, and I completely hear that. Like if he was a little bit better defensively, brought you a little bit more utility. Of course, this year scored more at even strength. It is just the one even strength goal in his from his 11. I completely understand that line of thought and that criticism of him, and that stuff dates back to his Boston days too. Because I mean, he was from the outside looking in, looked like a good young player, and yet you kept hearing his name in trade rumors. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a recent first-round pick of theirs who's actually scoring goals, and they're anxious to trade him. Boston can be a little bit finicky about the player profile.
Let me throw this at you. They've got 3 veteran wingers in DeBrusk, Garland, and Besser.
Yep.
You only need 2 of those guys going forward, don't you?
Well, I mean,
and Besser's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Besser is not going anywhere. That he would be very unlikely to waive his no move.
So in some ways, is that the question? Like, who should the Canucks trade? Garland
or Garland? Yeah, I hear you.
Because you don't need 3 veteran wingers on this team.
I know Garland is more of a play driver and more of an effort guy and all of that, and I hear it. And especially 5-on-5, I'm a lot more comfortable with Connor Garland on the ice than Jake DeBrusk. Garland's hurt here. Again, he's a little older, a little more expensive, with more term on his deal. Plus, I think Garland fetches you more.
He should. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the way I would look at it.
Yeah, if you get more for Garland, trade that guy instead.
Well, but also Garland has no trade protection right now. So if you're talking about something in the context of this season, it is absolutely Garland, because Garland should have a broad market, whereas DeBrusk has the full move and could give you, he could give you one team.
Yep.
Or two or three. And, that's not the market. That's not the leverage you want. Garland, of course, has his trade protection kick in this summer. And look, you say you only need one of them. There's part of me, and maybe because it's been so overused recently, there's part of me that subscribes to that you need an army. So, no, we want all the good players. And if these guys are good players, let's keep them here. But I also hear what you're saying in terms of the nuance and the cap deployment and all this going forward. Do you really want to be spending, what would it be now, in the vicinity of $20 million, $19 million on these three wingers going forward? And put it this way, with the ways Brock is going, the answer is absolutely not. But if he's not the guy you can move out, I understand what you're saying, that you have to look at other options. And that brings you quickly, I think, to Garland.
And unfortunately, this includes Besser. All three are just nice wingers.
Yep.
There's no franchise wingers there. Unfortunately, we thought it would be the case with Brock Besser. He's turned into a nice winger, and I don't think you need three nice wingers as you rebuild here.
Yeah, well, but are they rebuilding, Blake? Are they retooling? Are they renovating or reloading? Free advice from Jeff Merrick and Blake Price to you, Patrick Alvine. Next time you see a microphone, resist the urge to use the word retool. Certainly resist the urge to use the word hybrid. If you're not going to say rebuild, reload.
The only hybrid
renovate
should be from your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius. That's the only hybrid in this market.
The other thing we should say about DeBrusk, and I think for me it's another check mark as to why I would keep him over Garland. His no move turns into a 15-team no trade on July 1st, 2027. So at the end of next season.
So there's an avenue there.
You've got 4 years there on the deal that remain where you can trade him to half the league. So the marketplace right now isn't broad.
Yeah.
But it's going to be substantial going forward. Whereas Connor Garland's got the no move kicking in, so his marketplace is itty bitty.
At that point, right now it's good.
Yeah, right now on July 1st.
Yeah.
Connor Garland goes from a guy who I think you can reap a very healthy return for a guy who, if he's controlling the process and you're only dealing with a small handful of teams, I think that return lessens substantially.
And you know what? I don't know about that guy in the room either. He's a hangover from the JT Miller era, and his work ethic on the ice is wonderful, and that part is a great example for everybody. I don't know that he is a glue guy in the room that you absolutely need to have. That would be my guess.
It's hard to know room, but yes, I hear what you're saying in terms of people who effectively were caught up in the Elias Pettersson, JT Miller decampment.
Yeah. Not worried about Brock Besser's involvement there. I might be with Connor Garland.
Brock moves effortlessly between people.
Yes.
Everybody likes Brock. Brock likes everyone and gets along.
Yeah.
Did you see all the smiles at practice between Zeev and Ogren and even all those guys?
I love Buium.
You talking about the mic'd up? They mic'd up Zeev Buium at practice the other day.
DeBrusk seems to be a little more smiley. I think that's valuable personally.
Yeah. Oh, no. Jake's attitude is sensational. And even when he gets scratched last week, I mean, took it on the chin, sat there, took all the heat, appropriately. That's accountability. That's responsibility.
And that could
Garland tried to, play word games with us on his trade request.
Yeah.
You asked for a trade, and then he didn't want to acknowledge it. Acted like in my view, a child, the way he was trying to, where are you guys getting that from? Honestly.
And that's good. That's a good feather in the cap to DeBrusk and to keep him, right? Like that's good evidence to keep DeBrusk, have that as the guy who rolls with the punches and is a good teammate.
Well, put it this way, and I think, needless to say, coming from his family with his father Louis, calling Edmonton Oilers games and growing up in that environment, there are certain players for whom a Canadian market is difficult.
Yeah.
I don't think it is difficult for Jake DeBrusk.
No.
Like last week could have been a very difficult week for a different personality and player in the NHL. What did Jake DeBrusk do? He said, it's embarrassing. He's got to be better. And then what did he do? He went out and played 4 terrific hockey games after that.
And
unfortunately, he needs a kick in the pants at 29 years old like this, and this has happened before, but it happened, and the immediate returns were excellent. That's a good process.
But his criticism and his production is a great example of how the salary cap has, quote unquote, ruined the NHL. It's ruined our evaluation of players. Because if Jake DeBrusk was making $11 million, of course, we'd be way more critical of the droughts.
Oh, he's making $11 million, then he's untradeable. I mean, forget about it.
But at 5.5, again, it is a completely palatable deal. He's a half point per game guy that is just below where his career sort of average is. Like he does not need to get that much hotter than he's been this past week. If this streak here in this past week extends to next week, he's right back onto his career pace, exactly what you're paying him for. So he's not too far off, and that's where the salary cap thing
and Blake,
is in his favor.
Minus Quinn Hughes, like you need guys who make your power play work. He is one of them.
Yeah.
Connor Garland is not. And sadly, Brock is not right now either.
And Connor Garland's contract is not prohibitive either. At
no,
$6 million.
I wouldn't say that.
But it is more.
Again, it's a little more
Yep.
in money. It's a little longer in term. He's
Yeah.
a little bit older.
Yeah.
Put all those 3 things together.
Yep, that's fair.
That's a meaningful thing for me when I put them side by side and I do my ledger.
Yep. I hear your mouth.
Okay. Mike, you want to break the tie? I'm a small case N. He's a small case Y. You are?
I want to trade Garland. Keep DeBrusk.
A wise man, Mike Rogers, and I can see how you collected all those Junos. Let's get to our top story today, brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. Elias Pettersson, compromised for the rest of the season. Oh, no. That's the news from a pithy Ian McIntyre article on Sportsnet about the Canucks center. Of course, he missed those 8 games around Christmas with an upper body injury, returned a little later than we expected. And he has acknowledged that whatever is wrong, and reporters around the club suspect it's that nagging wrist ailment, whatever is wrong will linger the rest of the year. Pettersson, quote, it's going to be a nagging injury for a while, probably the rest of the season, but I can play with it. In some situations, there's some pain, but I can push through it. Now, there is part of me that just had a knee-jerk negative reaction to PD talking about an injury and how it's going to hamper him in future tense, because I just don't necessarily think that's good for the Elias Pettersson brand.
It's not. It comes off knee-jerk as built-in excuse
for
future
going
behavior.
back to the tendinitis, where he talked about it as a knee injury, and his bosses, Rick Tocchet, and others viewed it as simple tendinitis that many dozens of hockey players have to go through and not necessarily worthy of being detailed publicly, let alone used as any kind of crutch. So that part I had a negative knee-jerk reaction to it.
That was also one of my reads, though, by the way, was people think I don't play through shit. I'm playing through shit.
Again, and if there's any bit of that, I would have a negative knee-jerk reaction to it. But I really like some of the other things Elias said in this piece. Now, you'll remember he gave a very muted, try to spin it positively answer before the first game at Rogers Arena in the post-Quinn Hughes era. He was like, yeah, it's great. The young guys have come in and brought energy. Oh, yeah, of course we'll miss Hughes. And it was sort of a very flippant, I don't want to be here answer in terms of the scrum, not the Canucks. But here on the road with IMAC, and this is a very good example of when you have a hyper-covered team and you go on the road and you have time to actually relax and have a real conversation with a player as opposed to the scrum environment of home. I think he gave a very telling answer about life after Quinn, and I was very pleased to read it. Quote, I think it naturally puts more on to me and Demko and Brock and Phil. But it is what it is. We can't look in the past. We can only work ahead and see where we can do better and take this group to the next level. I mean, good to hear him understand there are no more excuses here. There's no JT. There's no Quinn Hughes to defer to. It's him and the guys that he name-checked, and he did appropriately name-check, if you ask me. They have to produce and lead this hockey club. I also really like the way Adam Foote framed this. Quote, if you're lucky enough to become a part of a core with any group, whether it's hockey or any sport, yeah, you should feel that responsibility. Great quote, Adam. If you're lucky enough to be in this position. Because I think sometimes Elias has felt like, oh, my lot in life. Oh, Eeyore in the corner. And Foote's like, no, son. You are lucky enough to be a frontline player in one of the biggest and best hockey markets in the world. Look at it that way. And Foote continued, you should want to feel it. That's what comes with it, right? Does he feel the heat? Well, he should feel it and he should enjoy it. It's part of what comes with being the core guy. Hats off, Coach. Perfectly put. And then there was this, Blake, and I thought this was interesting. Pettersson, low-key, threw support behind a rebuild. Quote, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's hard. Obviously, I want to battle and I want to play in the playoffs, but we need to see what's best for our future and build long-term. Jeff Merrick says this a lot. You can't fool players.
Yeah.
Players will come into training camp, even if it's a horseshit roster, and they will be optimistic and positive because it's a fresh, clean slate. It's 82 games. It's 6 months. They want to enjoy contention however long it lasts, and everybody is a contender in preseason and training camp. But the conversations between them, they know full well whether they have a team that's capable of competing for a Stanley Cup, capable of competing for a Stanley Cup playoff berth, or a team that is going to be on the outside looking in when it comes to April. I think that last line there, but we need to see what's best for our future and build long-term. I think that's Elias saying, yeah, I know what's going on here right now, and in my hockey view, this is going to be a longer-term project.
Well, I mean, he just turned 27. He's only been 27 for a couple of months. I mean, this team could lose this year, lose next year, and he could go into training camp still as a 28-year-old the following year. I mean, 28-year-old forwards are like brand new UFAs in most cases.
Yep.
Like that's a guy with still, another chapter in his career to go.
Yep.
I mean, this team could lose for 2 straight years here, get a whole bunch of assets, and Elias Pettersson still, according to the hockey card at the very least, in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the better days are, yes, probably behind him, but you know what I mean. Like, he
still have a number of good years left.
Still have a number of good years left.
I wouldn't say in his prime, but still have a number of good years left.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So he's got the longevity. He's got time on his side that if he does love Vancouver and does love the crest, he could make that case with the organization of don't touch me. I'm fine being here through thick and thin.
Honestly,
it's not if he wants to rehabilitate his image, Matt. It's not a bad message to send out there.
Yep. Well, the other thing here is we've talked about this in the past. Swedish players have a tendency to nest.
Yeah.
That if they get to a market and they like the market, they don't want to leave. So I think Elias may have a little bit of that. Needless to say, Vancouver and Canada in particular, I think, has share some traits, share some values with Sweden, right? So
Yep.
I think there's that part of it. Like, it's not the culture shock of being dropped into Dallas, Texas,
No.
or some of the other markets around the NHL. So I think you've got that. I mean, for the most part, he's built a life here, right? And now with a wife here. So I think you've got that. I would bet he looks around at some of these young players and, his countryman Ogren, but William as well, and goes, okay, we've got some young guys here who are going to be players, going to improve. But the other thing.
Verlander, too. Yeah.
Yeah, Verlander is his namesake as well. At least last year with his namesake.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also this, Blake. Like it or lump it, Elias Pettersson is a bit of a boogeyman around NHL circles in two respects. Number one, that he's a coach killer. And I do think that Rick Tocchet has propagated that narrative around the league. I think Tocchet did not mix with him at all. And I think Tocchet told anybody who would listen, can't win with this guy, not a frontline guy. So I think there are coaches around the league who are a little bit reticent with Elias. And I certainly think his representatives would know that if Elias doesn't personally. I also think it would be pretty tough for Elias walking into another room, because the other thing that he's got going around him in terms of being a boogeyman is he doesn't blend in. He's not one of the guys. That he was the foil for JT Miller, and of course, hockey culture will be with JT Miller.
Do you really think JT Miller is spouting off at people, telling people about Elias Pettersson?
I would bet if you surveyed NHL players and asked them, who do you most blame for the Canucks breaking up, JT Miller or Elias Pettersson would win that in a landslide.
I also don't think that JT Miller keeps his opinions to himself much.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I would bet every player in the New York Rangers room has heard some things about Elias Pettersson.
It's a reasonable guess.
Mm-hmm. So I think there's that as well. So put it all together, yeah. I do think Elias is going to be here a while.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Carolina and some other teams will continue to check in on him and see the price of acquisition and see if the Canucks fatigue of him. But I would not be the least bit surprised to tell if Elias and his representatives told the Canucks, no, we don't want to go anywhere.
That's right. Yeah, they could get enamored by a deal, but it ultimately has to go through Elias Pettersson, and yeah, he's got the right to veto it.
Now, those were all the instructive parts of the IMAC article. There was also, in my view, a part that dealt with something that I consider a little more frivolous. And that is, of course, his public skating with his wife while on that Eastern road trip last month. And if you missed this, and Mike's got the video here, there they are. She's in the brown jacket. He's in the black toque. Elias's new wife, Caitlin, posted a video of them skating at Rockefeller Center when the Canucks were in New York City just before Christmas. And I got to admit, when I first saw it, it was a little jarring because I knew how NHL culture would react to an injured player on the road with the team, having fun with his wife. Injured players should not be seen or heard. Wives on the road was not common until recently, and it's supposed to be a business trip. Any fun that's had should not see the light of day, right?
Really? I don't know. Is that true?
I mean, that's certainly how it worked when I first got on the hockey beat 25 years ago.
I mean, the hockeyism rule that I would think is broken there is that's an injured player on the ice in a recreational capacity with potential for re-injury.
Oh, my God.
That's the hockey rule that I thought was being
okay, there may be that as well.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, even for a moment, this is a week before Christmas for a couple that just had a miscarriage. If Caitlin needed some support during this time, I think we can all understand that. If Elias needed some support, if they just wanted to be together as they grieved. Elias is a professional skater, Blake. You think he's under any kind of risk skating in circles with the public at Rockefeller Center? I think he's got that.
Also,
barring some kid going 1,000,000 miles an hour and taking out his feet or something like that, I'm not going to sweat him being on the ice in skates with an upper body injury, skating tiny laps on an itty-bitty pad at Rockefeller Center. Come on.
To be honest, I avoid all sorts of reactions to these sorts of things, so I didn't catch wind of any furor over this. But if there was,
we're getting to not furor.
I will also say, what do people want the Canucks to do after a game day skate or after an off day practice on the road? Because we already know you can't play video games because that's too many video games, and that's addictive, and we don't want the guys playing video. There's a lot of opinions.
And that's not pro enough, Blake. That's not shell enough.
So, people have a lot of strong opinions,
and of course,
on what they're supposed to be doing.
Dougie Hamilton, now of Jersey, but once upon a time of Boston, Calgary, Carolina. Great defenseman. Why was he traded so much? Dougie likes to go and visit museums and things like that on the road. He seeks cultural and educational experiences while on the NHL road, and you can't do that.
So it boils down to you have to just stay in your hotel room and not be playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
Don't read. Don't be cultured. Mm-hmm. Just stare at a white wall.
Well, you can go buy expensive suits from an Italian tailor. That is very much.
Oh, you're allowed to do that.
You're very much allowed to go.
Did not have that in the guidebook.
Typically, usually when you're in New York City or Montreal, Toronto sometimes, you go seek out somebody's guy who is a hotshot tailor who will make you the beautiful suits. Although
Matt,
that was in the dress code days. I'm not sure if that's the case anymore.
You're telling me there wouldn't be a comment by somebody underneath saying, maybe you should care a little bit less about fashion and more about getting into the corners and working hard. You're not going to please everybody.
I don't know. I'm so confused. Anyways, I thought the video of Elias and Caitlin skating was a nothing burger. Well, hockey's going to hockey. You see what Adam Foote told IMAC? Him and I had a talk about it after the fact. I was just giving him advice like, hey, when you're injured, maybe stay away from the social media part. I think young guys, we have to teach them that just to keep the noise away.
Again, it wasn't his social media.
Is he a young guy?
It wasn't his social media.
Now,
somebody else got him.
If Foote is aware that Pettersson has said in the past that he's off social media or is on it a whole lot less, slowed down his usage because of either A, headspace, or B, time wasting, fair enough. Fair enough. I can hear the case for noise reduction because this player has talked about this in the past, that he felt better when getting off social media. Fair enough. But as one fan put it here, Brian, how is a leisurely outdoor skate remotely comparable to playing or practicing at an NHL level? You have to talk to him about it? This organization is beyond embarrassing. Because here's the thing, and I know hockey bosses like to control everything in their orbit. You cannot control what the family members of people in your organization post on social media. Why is hockey so scared of social media? It's part of daily life now. The only pathway here is acceptance. Caitlin Bird Pettersson works in this space as an influencer. And she is intent on sharing parts, even really big parts like a miscarriage, of her life and Elias's life with the public. That's her right. That's who she is, or who she is professionally at least. And it's incumbent on the Canucks to understand that it's their job to support their player and his family, not to deliver marching orders to the spouses of players. If Elias is uncomfortable with it, surely he can sort that out with his wife.
I don't think he's uncomfortable with it.
I don't think he is either.
Well,
When she first started posting about him, I was like, oh, I wonder how long this is going to last, because he has not been comfortable sharing in the past. In fact, he didn't even mention getting married. He had to be prompted when he arrived at training camp. But if she keeps going and he keeps participating, you have your answer.
I think the Canucks need to get Mackenzie Weegar to reach out to Elias Pettersson and remind him about the P's and Q's.
Why Uyghur? What did I miss here?
That was the Zane Perek thing.
Oh, was he the guy who
Yeah.
was? Oh, okay.
Yeah, reached out to him. Let him know.
Good defense partner there.
Yeah. It's not how we do in the National Hockey
No,
League.
exactly. No. We act like robots. We don't call out the robotics. Not allowed to call out the robotics, only to act like the robot.
Yeah.
Anyways, I understand the answer that Foote gave, because Adam Foote is of the culture. I am still waiting, and maybe the coaches out there in the NHL that I just haven't heard yet on these topics. I am still awaiting the first new age NHL head coach who understands young people, understands the world at large outside of hockey, and understands that there are certain things that have been hockey tenets or culture or mores or social norms, whatever you want to call them, that no longer apply or are just going to be ridden roughshod over because of the new world.
But also, you're 31st in the league. Maybe the micromanaging of social media should be quite far down the list and really not mentioned at all. Coach the damn team.
Like, Blake, I was thinking about this the other day. So there would have been a time in NHL rooms where not a single guy had a cell phone, right? Because cell phones weren't a thing. Maybe they had one of those big brick phones.
Oh, yeah.
But then cell phones became a part of our lives. And what do hockey players do? As soon as the game is done or as soon as practice is over and they get back to their lockers and
In the stall.
they grab the phone and they check their messages. And I'm going to bet that the first time that a hockey head coach walked through his dressing room and saw a player on a cell phone talking to his wife, kids, parents, friends, whomever, I'm going to guess there was a negative knee-jerk reaction to that, right?
Yeah.
What's going on here? This is our sanctuary. This is our locker room. This is where our players gather. He's talking to the outside world in here? It's now custom. There are big changes to life, and oftentimes technologically induced, that industries just have to deal with. And social media is one, much as hockey may try otherwise. What's up with our friends at Yellow Dog?
Well, as usual, a whole host of beer releases and pack releases. The Tourist Pilsner Pack allows you to travel the world, but these are hectic times. The world's a little bit crazy. A lot of people aren't in the traveling mood. So travel via Yellow Dog and Neighborhood Brewing. Neighborhood's released the Tourist Pilsner Pack, allows you to taste the Pursuit Czech Pilsner, the Exchange Student Italian Pilsner, and the Little Rabbits Canadian Pilsner. Each beer, it's a passport stamp. No flights, no lines, just pure Pilsner adventure. And I'm on a Pilsner kick.
Oh, good.
Big time these days.
Time now for Crave the Stats. It's brought to you by Uber Eats. And today we are going to look at, well, we spent some time on him, but Mr. Jake DeBrusk.
Jake DeBrusk is back into Detroit. Site last time out of a hat trick for Jake DeBrusk. That's right. Last time into Detroit, a hat trick and a 4-point game. So, hey, whether it's to aid a Vancouver Canucks win or buoy his trade value, perhaps there is some comfort there. We see this all the time in the National Hockey League where you have some good results. It continues. And he's already on a bit of a heater with 4 points in his last 5 games, which is amongst the team leaders alongside the aforementioned Pettersson and the surprising Linus Karlsson. So let's look to Jake DeBrusk tonight to continue some hot plays. He craves more goals and points. Maybe some even strength is what he's craving.
he could use some of that. No, Pettersson's been good recently. DeBrusk has been good recently. Linus Karlsson's been terrific for more than just recently.
4 points in the last 5 games for Elias Pettersson, by the way. But no multi-point games for Pettersson since November the 17th.
Yeah, that's got to change.
He's a multi-point game.
But, getting back to our top story, though, he's compromised the rest of the year. Gosh.
But that goal in Buffalo was ripped home.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It's a great goal.
Where's he at point-wise right now? 25, 26?
26 and 32, I think, something like that.
Yeah. 26 and 34.
34, okay.
With, 40 left?
But he's not going to flirt with point per game unless he starts to get some multi-point efforts.
Say, is he going to crest 60 this year? Does he have 34 in him in the final 40 games?
A lot of defenders said he'll never be a 50-point player again. Well, he's on track. He's got to be careful. Every time the Canucks are playing, you got to check the app. Game day deals on the app with Uber Eats, enabling you to maximize your fandom all season long, especially with these dinner time games. You can't be making dinner while you're watching the game. It'll distract you. So before, during, after the game, Uber Eats is there for you all season long. Check it out today, especially with a 4 o'clock start.
Okay, more consternation about the hockey rink at the Milano Cortina Olympics, now less than a month away. The IIHF saying the playing surface, practice facilities, and dressing rooms will be ready for when puck drops on the men's tournament on February 11th. However, the capacity is not going to be the originally planned 11,800. It's going to fall short of that, so apparently some delays in the building of the stands or the public areas. There's a test event this weekend. The NHL remains engaged, especially on the quality of ice for safety reasons.
I saw a quote from Wyshynski who
all they had was 7 years.
Somebody saying, I don't care if it's not fit. I still want to play.
Well, and I think if you're a hockey fan, I don't care if it's unfit. I just want to watch, right? Like this is the first time in 12 years that we get to see the world's best hockey players playing for their countries on the same ice surface. I mean, this is quite a...
I mean, the tournament's going to happen. They're going to play there, and it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And
it's something less than 11,800 are going to take it in live. We mentioned this yesterday, but I wanted to get a little more into it. Actually, let me start with the new part. Our buddy David Pagnotta reporting that these Detroit Red Wings that the Canucks face tonight have interest in Kiefer Sherwood.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because as we discussed during the what turned out to be very brief Quinn Hughes sweepstakes is that Detroit's got
oodles of room
and a loaded system here too, right? Like Detroit's got good young players on its NHL roster right now. It has good prospects. It has draft picks. Detroit's got a lot going for it in terms of being a buyer, having the assets to go out and improve their hockey club. So, look, we know the price continues to be a first-round pick or equivalent, plus a little sweetener, some sugar.
They're not getting Nate Danielson for Kiefer Sherwood.
Probably not. Nate Danielson, was he a top 10 pick or close to
ninth, I think? Sixth or ninth?
Is he up right now, though?
He's just got sent down.
Right. And Danielson doesn't profile as having a high offensive ceiling.
No.
You're looking at more of a 2-3 center there than you are anyone who's going to be like your leading scorer or anything like that. Boy, that Finney kid has looked good this year. Emmett Finney, a rookie 20-year-old to play Kamloops, if I'm not mistaken, who's just burst onto the scene, like would not be denied at training camp. A 7th-round pick, 201st overall, for heaven's sakes. Didn't even spend all that much time at Grand Rapids. And has made their hockey club, and he's got 19 points in 44 games this year, but he might be too embedded now. We talked about Casper in the past. They're going to give him a long leash, even though he's having a shockingly bad year. But Carter Bear, first-round pick, Western Hockey Leaguer, Canadian World Junior. Michael Brandsdagh Nygaard, Norwegian, big guy, first-round pick himself, 15th overall, 2024. Two pretty decent-looking winger prospects there. And you've got, of course, the first-round goalie, Sebastian Casa, Trey Augustine, who was a U.S. World Junior goalie with good pedigree.
They've also got a kid named Amadeus Lombardi, and that's just a good handle. Might want to ask him to get thrown in. It's always good to have an Amadeus on hand.
Amadeus.
Rock him, Amadeus.
That is stylish from mom and dad.
Yeah, it is.
In today's day, well, I guess it was 20 years ago.
There's not many Amadeuses in the WHO Bantam draft when we
Mozart,
scan that.
Yeah.
What would his nickname be?
Yeah. Between all the Kierans
Ammy.
and the Tynans and the Conans and in the dub draft.
Aidens, Bradens, Tadens,
Aidens,
Fadens.
Bradens, Tadens, yeah.
Yeah.
Here comes Amadeus. Poor kid is already sick of. Do you play piano? Are you musically inclined?
Was his brother named Wolfie?
Is there a Wolfgang in the family? I like Jenberg, the Swedish winger, Detroit guy for Sweden at the World Juniors. He's a second-round pick. They have Max Plant, second-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, also U.S. World Junior. So, no, they've got some prospects there, Detroit. So they're going to be interesting going forward. Also, the report yesterday from Vince Mercogliano of The Athletic that the Rangers are interested in Sherwood. And we'll get into this with PJ, but, when the Rangers are interested or are done with a player, like, they can make some courage of conviction trades that other franchises won't do.
Miller.
Keandre Miller. Remember when they were done with Buchnevich?
Mm-hmm.
Just sent him to St. Louis for, a second-round pick and Sammy Blais, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
Last year, they were just done with Kreider and Trouba, moved them out. So, yeah, like, when that owner gets his mindset on something, typically his deputies take marching orders. Remember, he was pissed off they got into those fights with Tom Wilson and the Capitals the end of the bubble year. New sheriff in town. We're going to move everybody out, get tougher. So anyways, there should be no shortage. As Cam Robinson said yesterday, there should be no shortage of market for Kiefer Sherwood. And this should not be a difficult trade for the Vancouver Canucks. The Rangers are said to be focusing on a top 9 scoring forward. They have some issues because Adam Fox and Igor Shesterkin are both on IR. And remember, they're trying to compete. They have been dreadful at home, scoring no goals for the Madison Square Garden. I mean, the world's most famous arena. You got to entertain at the world's most famous arena. That is a discerning public in New York City. They are surrounded by pretty great entertainment options. If you're going to charge what you're charging for a hockey ticket there, boy, they better be entertained at the end of 2.5 hours and 3 periods.
This is the last year of Artemi Panarin, too, huh?
Yep.
Like, what are they doing there?
Well,
shouldn't they be trading Artemi Panarin?
That is a discussion that is going on around that hockey team.
He's got a no-move clause, so he can just stay put and be lame if he wants. But if you're not going to the playoffs with the Rangers...
I think that's a file that needs to, push or shove come March 6th in the trade deadline.
You would think.
And just from the outside looking in on that, Blake, if he hasn't re-signed yet, what does that say?
Well, he's 34, too.
Russians typically want to play in Florida or New York City.
Yeah.
He's there with the biggest club in New York City as a name brand for Rangers fans. and he hasn't re-signed yet.
Now,
if they're looking at him at 34 and saying, well, look, we can't give you term, we can't give you all that, he may be like, okay, well, someone on the UFA market will. And he's not wrong there.
Nope. But that would be a hell of a player to just plop into your lineup for the playoffs. Now,
I mean, if they're out of it by the playoffs, I think you have to have that discussion with them. But
11-6 on the salary cap, though, so you need to have some space as well.
Yeah. But, I mean, you're retaining half, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it full no move all through the deadline?
Yeah,
oh, boy. Yeah, that's why a lot of GMs do not like giving out that full no move in the last year.
He was a franchise player, so that was a little more
he had
fair
leverage
there.
that other people didn't that much is sure. All right, let's get to our menu brought to you by our friends at Greta, where Saturday there's another watch party with our friend David Quadrelli and our friends at Canucks Army. Doors open at 3 o'clock. The puck drops at 4 p.m. If you want to reserve your seat, text 604-256-4022. That's 604-256-4022. Give them your name, give them how many people you're bringing, and you will find a nice little tidy placard on a table somewhere where you can sit down and watch the hockey game. But here's the thing. It's not just watching the hockey game this time around. It is a live episode of Rink Wide Vancouver with Jeff Pettersson that will succeed the final horn. Final few minutes after the final horn, Jeff and the team will swing into work for the first remote episode of Rink Wide Vancouver this year. And who knows, if we're having a lot of fun and if this goes well, maybe we'll have a whole lot more going forward, or occasional going forward. Rink Wide Vancouver. So get thee to Greta, 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. We're going to talk to Patrick Johnston of the Province and PostMedia here on all matters with the Vancouver Canucks. And then it was a very newsy day for the Whitecaps and for the Lions, mostly for wrong reasons. Or
dramatic reasons.
Disappointing reasons,
Yeah.
Tristan Blackmon was all but gone to Miami until he wasn't yesterday, and the club pushed back on a bunch of the reporting. The Lions lost a good player. The Lions also got skewered by their own players in the anonymous CFLPA survey. We will get into that as well. A little bit of NFL on the weekend, and when fans get over on bad owners, we thought this story would particularly resonate with the Vancouver market. But a story from baseball where a small group of fans are the winners and a rich billionaire owner who was loathed is the loser. Love that narrative. Let's get to our Bet365 bets of the day. Blake, we were both on a future yesterday, both on NFL playoff games. So take it away. You go first. You're looking at that Canucks Red Wings game?
I am, and I was going to go with shots on goal, the exact number, but it's just a little tougher to hit because you have to hit the number exactly. So I'm going to go over-under shots on goal instead. Same guy that I was looking at, that is Kiefer Sherwood, who had 6 shots on goal the other night in Buffalo. He had 9 shot attempts. The guy wants to score his 18th goal, and he's aware that he's not been scoring a lot lately.
Yeah.
So can he get to 3 shots? Yeah, he can do that. It's just free money. Plus 115, Kiefer Sherwood with 3 shots on goal. Or more.
I'm looking at 3 different Vancouver Canucks as goal scorers here because I like the odds on all of them.
Okay.
The longest is Liam Ogren at plus 550. The second longest is Linus Karlsson at plus 450. This is an anytime goal scorer. But with the heater DeBrusk's is on and the 3 goals, 4.9, the last time he was in Detroit, sometimes this guy's like a building. Bounce the boards, eye lines, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with the lowest odds there. I'll take DeBrusk at plus 240 as an anytime goal scorer, but I'm very tempted by the 2 sweets at the higher money. This segment, presentation, Bet365, whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION when doing so. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. I understand we have a super chat here from Mike, so we will get to that. We will not make Chris Jordan 213 wait. Thank you, Chris, for your donation. Those of you on YouTube, the super chat button always available to you. Hit it, make your donation. Partial proceeds, the BC Mental Health Foundation. Everyone in Van knows we need a rebuild. How the F does FA not know this? Why does nobody have the balls to tell him straight up? I think he does know it. I think he resists it. I think people have told him. Trevor Linden told him. Trevor Linden was no longer president of Vancouver Canucks shortly thereafter. I think Rutherford has told him as well. I don't think Jimmy has anything to lose at this stage of the game in his mid-70s. But I think knowing it, hearing it, and executing it are three different things. And here's the thing. We've talked about this in the past. I've heard Drance talk about this, and he's right. The NHL is no longer a mom-and-pop operation with the level of wallets that are involved. If you're sweating gate, you're probably not rich enough to own an NHL team anymore.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, you need to be beyond that.
Like
here.
These franchises are worth billions now with a B. Like even the bad ones. Like the NHL was trying to get $1 billion for the Ottawa Senators. And Ryan Reynolds and his group understood what was going on there. And good, sharp guy, that Van City Reynolds. They walked away, and I'm told we're not particularly, that's the word I'm looking for. Not particularly, they didn't feel good about the experience of dealing with the NHL when it was all said and done. Very few do with Gary Bettman.
You got Vegas already looking to build a new practice facility to replace their very impressive one now.
A second practice facility, yeah.
And you got one owner that's like, no, we need to make the first round of the playoffs so I can get
where your shared
playoff.
your shared revenues anyways in the first round. Like that's the insane part.
Yeah, but it's some money. It's more money than no money.
Yeah. Well. So yeah, Chris, at the end of the day, really rich guys like this who grew up in the lap of luxury tend not to get told no, tend to get their way, tend to be stubborn, tend to surround themselves with sycophants and enablers. And yeah, he's going to run the team the way he wants to run the team. Public be damned. That's where we're at with this one.
Yeah.
Patrick Johnston, next. Sick Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center.
This segment brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, 72 kilometers of pure electric range. If you want it to be an electric vehicle, chargeable overnight, just at home, just in an outlet. You don't need to install anything in your garage. It's really as easy as that. And if you're just running errands every day, you're basically just in an electric vehicle passing by the gas pumps every single day. It is glorious. Doing so with tons of cargo space in a spectacular car that is so fun to drive. Dare we call it a sports car, the Toyota Prius? I think I might dare.
It looks like one. It's sporty. That profile is in particular.
So don't delay. Go take one for a test drive today. See everything that we're talking about and see a great deal as well. Right now you can lease an SE from 109 weekly at 3.99% APR for 64 months with $3,300 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer.
Patrick Johnston is an enterprising sports columnist with the Province and PostMedia. He joins us from his home in Burnaby.
He was just sharing all of his column ideas for us.
Holy cow, is he working on some big stuff?
30 deep.
You readers of the Province are going to be extremely well nourished when this guy is done filing.
PJ, would you agree? Mostly the depth of that is mostly because this team is in an unfamiliar territory. We've never seen the team sort of struggle like this and face questions about its future, right? It's a novel year for the
breaking
Vancouver
new
Canucks.
ground.
It's a novel, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Novel. I mean, I wrote this yesterday. Like, can we just get on with it? Like, I can't imagine Kiefer Sherwood's terribly enthused about.
He didn't look enthused Tuesday in Buffalo, it must be said.
Many were equating his body language to Quinn Hughes in the late.
Hughesian body language and turnovers there. It's almost like there's a formula when you want to hurry this trade along.
Yeah.
Let's get going, Jim.
Yeah.
Patrick?
I think, I mean, I did talk to someone yesterday, said, things are heating up. So I don't know what that means, but,
I think things are heating up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are. But Rangers are interested. I mean, listen, that's fine. But as I said, let's get moving. Like, come on.
That's fine.
For everyone's sake, the fans want something to believe in. They want to see new direction, the new direction they dream of. They want to see it. Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah. Like that poet Brett Michaels of Poison said, we want something to believe in here in Vancouver. Before he did the reality series where he dated 40 women, he was a...
That's something to believe in.
Really connecting with it. Yeah, that's,
I was
connecting with his...
I was on CTV yesterday, and Kevin asked me, what should Canuck fans do with the rest of the season, basically? It's
a good question.
As I said, it is a good question. My answer was just look for the brightest spots in every game.
The young guys.
Do you have a different answer to that?
Working hard, improving. No.
You certainly don't go to Abbotsford because, that team's won 9 times. Nobody wants to go there anyway.
Well, and they don't even dress 20 players anymore, Patrick, or at least they did in earlier
it's
this.
Like 9-man football.
They play 10 forwards.
I felt bad for them on that one. But
exactly. They got guys playing two ways. He's the middle linebacker and the fullback.
Whew.
So what do you do? What do fans do? What's the?
I think you're right. You got to focus on the young guys. Tom Willander is imperfect player at this point, but the kid can skate. And hey, listen, the power play's having some fun. They are moving the puck. They can score the power play, but as I said to Jake DeBrusk, said we're still not getting it done. Look how many chances we got against Boston. So,
and Buffalo. That first power play, it's 6 shots.
Well, yeah. I was just referencing because I talked to Jake DeBrusk after the Boston game. So, listen, what there is no doubt that the lack of an exciting young forward. I mean, Liam Ogren is
nice
fun when he's on the ice, I guess. Yeah. But the lack of a sort of an exciting young forward, which is, what they need to get out of the draft, that is challenging. There is no doubt about that. This is a team that we're literally, this is why Matt asked me, what are you working on? I said, well, not much, because there's just not a lot right now. It's not that fun. I'm sorry.
Who's the CTV reporter?
Kevin Craig.
Let me rephrase Kevin's question to you then.
Sure.
What's most important the rest of the way? Wins, losses, or trades?
Yeah.
I think trades are more fun for the fans, but what is actually most important, most meaningful in the second half of this season? Wins, losses, trades.
Well, this team's 31st in the league, right? So it's not like it's that hard for them to lose. The losses are going to be there. They're just to be expected. I think that is the framing thing, and it is a hard one because our instinct is, well, why can't they just go out and win, right? And it's very much in line with, as I referenced, this conversation I had with Jake DeBrusk after the game. I mean, I actually talked to him both games, but on the weekend, but after the Saturday game, I said, man, your line was dominant. Like the Pettersson line, I think, as everyone noted, did not give up a shot attempt against. That line was fantastic. They were playing to win. And that's the thing, I suppose, is to watch is, there are players, the players are trying their best. They're going hard. And that's what to pay attention to. Nonetheless, the outcome messes with your head. The preferred outcome messes with your head, right? Like the idea that this team does not want to win. Management knows where they need to end up. They're not going to say that, but we know they know. They know they want to get a high draft pick. Like that changes a lot of the dynamic here. And that is how this works. And that if as I've written, that I think that this is what fans want. I think the fans want to see something to believe in a direction that's obvious, as opposed to sort of aimlessly trying to fire off, oh, maybe we'll hit the playoffs, like, oh, well, we can go on a 10-game win streak, just like the Buffalo Sabres, and then we'll be back. But that's just foolish to believe in, because that's not going to happen. Like Buffalo, and I said this, Drance is right. Buffalo is finally banked their rebuild in the right direction. It's ridiculous it took them this long. It shouldn't have taken this long. It shouldn't have been this hard. They've had so many attempts at it. But the point is, and I wrote this a few weeks ago, if you want to look at Boston, who did actually rebuild on the fly and misfired, they actually got a bunch of guys pretty quick. So the task at hand becomes get a bunch of guys. Unfortunately for the fans, they've got to watch hockey in between here and now. And if you can find a way to entertain yourself by watching some of the stars of the league on the other teams, I really recommend that. And just don't get up hoping, oh, maybe today's the day the Canucks will win, because that's not what you want. What you want is a high draft pick. Focus on that. Let
me throw one other thing that under normal circumstances might get people mildly excited. It would still be hollow. But if Elias Pettersson just got red hot and looked like himself the rest of the year, albeit mostly in losses, I think people would get a charge out of that. It would give people hope for the rest of the contract, obviously. With news of this injury, that doesn't seem likely to happen, though, does it?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I don't know this. I'm assuming that it's the wrist issue, which was keeping him out in the first place and has bothered him in the past. He has played very well, and it is that.
Can we say well? Very, very seems generous. He's played well.
He's been playing well. Fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know Blake was the adverb police.
I am
here.
Adverb police.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's fair. Oh, there are words to describe levels of quality without needing an adverb. So you can use your nouns. Just describe what's in front of you. Anyway, no, I keep thinking about sort of, and I shouldn't. And this is literally, we were just talking about this. Stop thinking about how things were, but the reality of what this team could have been and the way this sort of three-headed center monster could have been with Miller and Horvat as well. And I think we're really kind of seeing the stark reality of where Pettersson is in, or where Pettersson's game is at, which is that it's fine. And some of that's like the realities of the aging curve, like your best years, the best scoring years, as crazy as this sounds, are behind him. And that's just a statistical truth, that everybody scores the most when they're like 23, 24, and then there's a slow decline's the wrong word, but the sort of the 100-point scorer is probably behind him. That's just the reality. But if they can get a high quality two-way, as we've talked about before, 80-point performance, that's pretty good.
Yep.
And then if you can get a young, exciting center playing with him playing next to him as the other sort of key cog on the forward lines, that would be exciting too. And that is, in the end, what this team needs for so many reasons. And that is what fans, as I said, need to focus on.
If I had $1 for every time I've heard the phrase "what this team needs" in the last month, 2 months, you talk about enjoying the star
there's
players.
A column idea. What
there
does
you go.
This
what
team
this
need?
team needs.
Hey,
It'll be a special insert.
tell Chapman my invoice is in the mail. If it's about seeing, the stars of the league coming through town, hey, you got McDavid, Ovechkin, and Crosby coming up on the next homestand. So there's that. At risk of removing your favorite interview and quote from the room, should the Canucks be looking to trade Jake DeBrusk?
Well, yeah. Jake mentioned this himself. Like when I asked him last week, I said, is this the worst career season of your career? And he's going, yeah. And he noted where he's been, and like he played for a Stanley Cup, right? Like that. Like this is a guy that's been there. He's having a really frustrating season. We'll see where we'll see where this. I think if someone calls and says, "Hey, would you be willing?" Because he's on a pretty good value contract. Yeah, he's struggled this year. But I mean, I think the way that line has played at times, I think it's showed that he's got something again. So I mean, it's easier said than done, I suppose. I did appreciate when Dregs was mentioning the idea of the Oilers trading for him, going, wait, Stan Bowman can do all these things, but you still need cap space and you still need things to move, and so on and so on. So like that's the thing. But I do not think the Vancouver Canucks can afford, given the stated task, which is to get younger. I do not think they can afford to say no on a player if someone comes calling for Jake DeBrusk,
a veteran. Yeah,
because the point is to accumulate a bag of stuff, which is draft picks and prospects. And if he brings you some of that, then I think you gotta say yes.
How far does that extend for the veterans? Is there any veteran who's clamoring to stay here, even if they have official no trade? I mean, some guys are nesters and they don't care. They'll withstand a few more years of losing if it means they don't have to sell their house and move their family and all that. So that's fine. But how many of those veterans do they have on this team that are nesters and they just want to be here, and that's fine?
I mean, I haven't put the question to Tyler Myers, but I have a hard time imagining he wants to go anywhere. I have a hard time imagining Brock Besser wants to go anywhere. That might be it. Just trying to think who else. Yeah, I think
they got newly re-signed guys in DeBrusk and Pettersson.
Yeah, I think that's
Marcus
fair.
Pettersson,
Garland.
Like
pretty much all those guys probably could be convinced if needed to be.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like Marcus Pettersson. I mean, the thing is, what did they sign on for, right? Like, like Marcus Pettersson signed on for a different project. The project blew up. So what does he want to do? But yeah, I mean, listen, Myers has been here because he signed here because they thought this team or Jim Benning was trying to bank this team into what the team briefly was. But fundamentally, he's a guy that he wants to live here. There are players who still want to live here, whether they want to live and play for this team. The list is not terribly long. I mean, it's, like Phil Bronick. Yeah, he's signed here. Sure. And I think the Canucks also
he's staying
hang on to. That's a guy you want to hang on to. Connor Garland, listen, if the team came calling, I don't imagine the Canucks would say no. Besser, Kane, Commander engineered a trade here, but I think, I don't know where his interests are. I mean, I still think there is I still think there's a team that would be interested if it was the right price. I don't think it's a lock solid thing. Like you go down the list and you start getting to some young guys, and Sasson and Willander and Carlson, and those guys are here. They're not going anywhere. So I don't think the list is very long of guys that are going to be like, no, I don't want to go anywhere. And guys who have, there are a lot of no trade clauses and whatever, but like that's their right to
can control the destination to a degree. We joked about this at the beginning of the hit here, but the Rangers entering the Kiefer Sherwood sweepstakes, I think is very positive news, because the Rangers just have their own peculiar proprietary sort of value they put on players. They can make some weird trades. Like they gave up on Keandre Miller. They absolutely had to have Trouba and Chris Kreider out. They got some one-time first-round picks in that organization. Othman. Emery didn't look very good at the World Juniors. And you got to win there. They've been absolutely horrible at home, scoring no goals, and bit of a batshit owner from time to time. So you just sort of wonder, my God, what kind of pressure is Chris Drury under, and whether or not you can leverage the Rangers with what is hopefully a very robust market for Keith Sherwood and goose the return even further.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a weird playoff race, right? The West is underwhelming. The East is hot. The Rangers are sort of kind of in it if you squint. They are a team that if they go on a little run, then all of a sudden they're in it. If they can figure out how to score at home, that might change the equation. And yeah, Sherwood being a player that hasn't found his groove surely makes sense. I mean, when I saw the Rangers, like, yeah, I get it. Like, they're not in a blow your socks out of the water lineup, but they're in it, and there's a lot of teams in it in the East, and I certainly think that that is something that Ford and Patrick Allvin have been banking on.
And can you imagine them pulling off that deal with their 2 first-round picks? Like, their fan base will lose their shit if they trade for a veteran expiring UFA with one of their 2 first-round picks that they have.
But I can absolutely see James Dolan and Chris Drury looking at Kiefer Sherwood like they looked at JT Miller and said, that guy's a Ranger. Let's go make it
exactly.
so. Should have asked you this earlier, but what do you make of the Elias Pettersson public skating brouhaha? And, he should really stay off social if he's an injured player, Patrick.
I mean, I think, I obviously had heard something about this, but I was just kind of like, I don't know.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? Did we not?
Yeah.
When it happened?
My impression, I guess it's sort of what you present, and my impression is it was more than anything what was presented. And if you're dealing with a wrist injury, should you be? It was not so much that he was out with his wife, or just what he was seen doing. And if you're trying to get your way back from arm injury or hand injury or wrist injury or whatever it is, take care on that. And that was a sign that he's not taking care. I don't know. I'm not. I haven't talked to them much about it. I haven't asked them about it. Teams are teams, and I'd listen. When you're not winning, everything looks dumb and bad. I think that's kind of mostly what I chalk it up to. If they were winning, I don't think this would be a story at all. So, I was not planning to touch on it, and now I've touched on it, and that's about the extent of what I think of it. To me, it's listen, if you're not going to win games, recognize where you're at. And I just don't know. It struck me when I first sort of heard about it, I was like, I guess that's a thing, but I didn't have the impression that it wasn't like players were coming up to being like, can you believe you just see what he did?
But from my point, like when Foote says he should probably, I'm not sure in what world NHL teams think they can control what the spouses of their players post to social media. You're not going to win that fight as an NHL team over the long term. You have to sort of accept certain things about the world and how they change, and how that might be different than your culture or the way that you would want things done, but that it is, at the end of the day, absolutely harmless. The Vancouver Canucks did not get worse as an organization, did not lose a game because Elias Pettersson's wife posted a skating video at Rockefeller Center.
I will say this on that note, like, listen, we can see the Canucks' social media approach, which is it's not fun.
Progressive?
Like there's a real, there's an organizational position, which is that they should not be having. They just don't present fun. And I know there's people that work very hard to present this team in a fun way, and we can see the way it's deployed versus how just about every other organization uses social media. In so many ways. Like I found myself last week going into the 49ers Seahawks game. You know, I'm a 49ers guy, and I'm watching the 49ers had a clip, and they're like, here's how we put our decals on our helmets. And it was kind of neat. You know, it was just like, oh, that's interesting. And I would love to see a thing about sharpening skates. You know, let's Red has fascinating insights on hockey gear. You know, there I was standing in the dressing room the other day, and Drew O'Connor, and it's not a story. This is not a story. This is not something you've written, but it was an interesting little moment. Drew O'Connor comes back in and is talking to Max Stewart, who's the assistant equipment manager, and is asking him about, and I realized they're talking about helmets, and he talks to Willander and he talks to DPD, and they're just talking about literally helmet design. How does it feel? And it wasn't like an amazing, but I'm just like, I don't know. I think people would find that interesting. It would bring you into their world, and that just doesn't happen. So for them to react, you're absolutely right, Matt. It's a small thing. It's how people operate. It's how people move through the world. But that's I guess why my reaction also was like, when I kind of heard there was some grumbling or whatever, I was just like, I'm not going to give any air to this, because that's just not something that matters to me, and I wasn't going to give it air either way. But I don't talk, to be clear, I don't mind talking about it. Like,
I'm sorry to have asked, but you're our only guest today.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying my
start.
instinct was like, it's not that. No, my instinct is to your point. Like, I was just like, well, that's not a thing, so who cares? And now it's been asked, and they've talked about it, so now we have to talk about it. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's sort of the thing. When it gets out there in the public realm,
that's society in a nutshell. That's not a thing, but it's a thing.
It's a thing.
But it's turned into a thing.
This has been a thing too. Fun thing.
It is.
Thank you for this thing. Happy New Year.
Let's do a thing next week too.
Yeah, exactly. Next Thursday.
Yeah, we'll
another
try.
thing.
Yeah.
You, me, him, them.
Take care, guys.
Securison Price from the historic Wall Center, the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio, built by Arbor Lee. And cheer louder when you're rested. Book your staycation here at the Wall Center, just minutes from the stadium and arena. Unlock that Securison Price rate. 604-331-1000. Some blackout date supply based on availability. So quite a saga yesterday for Vancouver Whitecaps FC and MLS Defender of the Year, Tristan Blackmon.
Yeah.
He was headed to Miami on a $3 million transfer, done deal, until it wasn't. Whitecaps CEO Axel Schuster taking the rare step of a long and harsh statement.
Pointed.
Good word. Where he, quote, firmly rejects the reports saying that the opposite is in fact true. They're not looking to sell players. They're looking to keep players, which stands to reason after the trade of Jaden Nelson and the selling of Ali Ahmed to Norwich City of English football. How did the Miami Herald get this so wrong? Or was there, in fact, a moment when this deal was going to get done?
There might have been discussions at some point, but after those two exits, this team has Thomas Muller for a year, maybe a year and a half.
Right.
This is not the sell time. We talk about the Vancouver Canucks and selling. This is not the sell time for the Whitecaps.
Yeah. The two players who have moved on have basically done so at their own request, right?
Yes, because of very specific
Ollie
conditions.
wanted a bigger profile going into the World Cup because he's in line for minutes, but it's a competitive situation with the Canadian men's national team. Same with Jaden Nelson, although he's probably starting from a further point with the Canadian men's national team. And so they both got their wishes.
Yeah. But the exit should be pretty limited from there. Now, we talked, they are really deep on amongst defenders. But
they have good center backs now that Ralph Priso can play center back.
That's
and they have
healthy.
Full health.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you could peel somebody off, but again, you are trying to win MLS Cup this year and shipping out the MLS Defender of the Year. Do it next year. Right? This time next year, okay.
Okay, but were they willing to entertain that, but Miami didn't want to pay the $3 million in one shot? Is that...
That's also out there that it was in installments, as our friend Mike Halford put it, Klarna FC. Rent to own.
We couldn't possibly pay $3 million. Wait a second. You're Miami. You're spending tens of millions on Messi. You just want an MLS Cup? No, but $3 million.
Yeah, no, we're just a little bit. I can't find the wallet. So I mean, maybe that was part of it, but further to Axel's point, they are in acquisition mode, not in selling off mode.
Glass City here. Have to think the Miami front office source put this out to try and sway Blackmon to push for the move. It's either that or they thought they had a deal and the Whitecaps backpedaled. Given the veracity of Axel's statement, I'm not sure the Whitecaps backpedaled or pulled out at the last minute. Like, Schuster's been, for the most part, very honest. We've had him on the show countless times where there have been reports out there about players they're interested or other teams interested in their players. And usually when that's the case, he speaks in general terms. You can read between the lines. There is something to those reports. When there isn't, he just comes out and tells us, no, that's not right. The only time I ever felt like there was even a touch of misleading was on Thomas Muller. And frankly, I just think Axel was still shocked that they were...
Well, he didn't want to say. He didn't want to sell hope. He didn't want to sell hope on that. When the rumors first started, I don't think he wanted to.
We had him the day after the rumors started.
Yeah,
and he kind of poo-pooed it, and I think we were all sitting there just in utter astonishment, like, what?
Yeah,
Thomas Muller to the Whitecaps. Secondly, if you
I hope Tristan Blackmon's okay with how this all went down too. By the way,
we'll see. Secondly, if you backpedal away from a deal or pull out at the last minute, you're typically feeling pretty sheepish. Like, it would take some chutzpah to scuttle a deal at the last minute and then put out a statement like that.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it.
BC Lions, where defensive back Robert Carter Jr. is, in fact, off to the NFL. The Lions released him so he could sign a futures contract with the Indianapolis Colts. It took just 2 workouts this week for Carter to get his name on paper, and that's because this kid is undeniable. He's a little small, but was an elite cover guy up here. He packs a way bigger wall up than his 5'10", 175 listing. We saw that, how he hits people. That'll get NFL people excited. And he's dangerous as a quick kick returner, as an interceptor with the ball in his hands. This was just a scouting miss from the NFL, I think. And no surprise it's Indianapolis. Long history of the Colts scouting the CFL in Canada, going back to their former GM, Bill Polian, who once worked for the Montreal Alouettes, and their longtime scout, the late, great Cal Murphy of Vancouver, the Blue Bombers legend, who worked for the Colts for many, many years after retiring from CFL duty.
By the way, I forgot to tell you, speaking of Lions secondary, we're at our hotel in Davos in the holidays for the Spengler.
Davos. Listen to the pronunciation there.
And we look across the breakfast room at the hotel. This, it's Europe. All your hotel stays come with breakfast, of course. And
it's very civilized. Well, we should do more of that.
Yeah, we should do. Our producer looks at us, God, that guy looks like Jackson Finley. I'm like, there's no way Jackson Finley's at the Spengler. It was Jackson Finley.
Pride of North Van.
Yeah.
Vancouver College.
Yeah.
The hell was he doing there?
He's his
BC Lions safety.
His girlfriend is the niece of one of the assistant coaches, I believe, is the way.
For Canada?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Worlds colliding.
I was like, why is a BC Lion having breakfast 2 tables away from me?
In Davos.
In the Swiss Alps.
Is that how they pronounce it?
Yeah. Yeah, Davos.
Oh, my God.
Gauche.
You've turned into that collegian who spends their summer in Spain and then comes back talking about Barcelona.
Summers in Rangoon, luge lessons.
He's big in Bruges. So more secondary needs for the BC Lions. Not Jackson Finley, though. He's great. And he's hobnobbing in Davos.
Yeah.
CFL teams will tell you, like Axel Schuster said in his statement, they're flattered by interest in their players. And when their players sign in the NFL, especially after just one CFL year like Carter, that's positive because that's going to attract top talents down the road because they see a pathway to the riches of the NFL. Here's the bad news for the BC Lions. Oh my God, this CFLPA report card. Whew. Scathing feedback from Lions players on the BC Lions operation. They finished dead last of the 9 CFL franchises with an overall score of C when the CFL average was a B-. And believe it or not, that C is actually up from the C- they got last year. Players gave the organization an F when it came to diet and nutrition, a D+ when it came to family treatment, and C- when it came to training camp, facilities and equipment, and ownership and operations.
What's the sample size? Does every player,
I don't know.
like, I have to believe that there's extenuating circumstances to that. Now, hey, is the Surrey facility a little bit tired? Yes, for sure.
That grade I fully understand.
Yeah, but they are renovating that literally as we speak.
That's right. Training camp, God, I mean, if you go around the league, people will tell you that what they have there in Kamloops at Thompson Rivers University
almost
is
NFL
one
level.
of the best training camp situations in the loop. I was really surprised about the ownership and operations grade. I thought Amar Doman and Dwayne Vinot were beloved both broadly and internally.
And that's why I'm wondering if it's an 8-player sample and you just happen to get 4 that are a little bit rankled, that can really skew your grade. But
BC's best score was a B+ for the coaching staff. The strength and conditioning got a B, and B- for therapy and medical staff. So at least they feel pretty good about how
they're being treated.
Their bodies
physically.
are being taken care of. Yeah. I'm not apologizing for the Lions here, and we're going to get to this in a second, but a few bits of context here. Number one, guys who are accustomed to NFL life, or even now like Power 4 big-time NCAA football life, often struggle with their CFL life, especially in the first year. It's not as rich. It's not as expansive, the facilities and all that. Also, you have to be more responsible because there's not a million handlers taking care of your every need. Like, you may actually have to get the tickets for your family. There's not going to be someone there going, oh, yeah, I'll send you the tickets. I'll meet them at the gate. I'll usher them to their seats and all those things. Number 2, and Wally taught us this, at any given time, there's roughly 50% of your roster that's pissed off because they think they should be playing more and getting paid more.
Yeah, that goes to my sample size question. Yeah.
Right. 24 starters in the CFL, rosters of 50 players. Half the guys aren't starters, right? So, hey, I'm better than this guy if only coach knew, blah, blah.
And I don't know if you were getting to this on your first point, but like if you happen to, and it just could just be coincidence, if you happen to bring in a bunch of bigger school NCAA guys versus the NCAA Division II guys, who
that's it,
are a little less
like if you're
affected.
bringing if you're bringing in a guy who went to Texas or Georgia and then had stops with a couple of NFL teams,
they're going to have criticisms.
CFL facility is a eye-opening for them.
They'll have notes, yeah.
Because especially if they're one of these Texas Friday Night Lights kids who maybe their high school even has better facilities.
But the guys that went to Montana Methodist, a little less irked.
I'm just glad they beat Montana Christian this year. I mean,
yeah,
it was quite a derby.
It was
up there in Bozeman. And 3, another bit of context, there were some very harsh scores handed out across the league, especially Alouettes, Red Blacks, and Stampeders players. Like, they had the knives out too. All that said, I agree with J.C. Abbott of 3 Down Nation, who wrote, I genuinely only have positive things to say about my interactions with the BC Lions in the past few years, how Amar Doman has invested. With that said, finishing last in this survey when you are in a window with a generational quarterback, just unacceptable.
Yeah, like
Agree.
Regardless if there are extenuating circumstances that we were wondering about there, like you still have, there is feedback there.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's lessons
feedback.
learned. These surveys, NFL owners now are fighting against these surveys because it embarrasses them. And of course, they're billionaires and you're not allowed to embarrass them. They're not actually seeing the constructive part of this exercise, or at least they don't want the constructive part of this exercise out in the public. But I saw Brian from the BC Lions Den, and he started his podcast back up, say, look, nutrition and diet, family treatment, there's just no excuse there. You've got to get better.
Yeah.
Treat the families better. Make sure you're on your P's and Q's with nutrition and diet.
The downside of this in the CFL versus the NFL, in the CFL, like in the NFL, you've got pretty much limitless funds.
Yeah.
In the CFL, all this stuff, improving this stuff, costs money, Matt. And you have to believe that a lot of that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's the cost of the stuff.
Right. And as we know, if the Lions lease is similar to the Whitecaps lease at BC Place, it does not provide the level of revenues that you typically get out of a stadium. And Amar is paying for a lot of this out of pocket, particularly when he's booking acts like Snoop Dogg. Granted, with the extra ticket sales balancing that out. The Lions did respond, told 3 Down Nation, in response to last year's report card, we addressed one important area with the addition of a new strength and conditioning coach. We continue to work around the clock to improve in every area, despite the limitations at our current training facility. Thus, the next phase of our Surrey facility upgrades will begin in early 2026. These include a new and expanded locker room with a fully functional kitchen, highly improved player lounge, which will help us ensure our diet and nutrition program is amongst the CFL's best.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So there you go. Took it on the nose, but said, okay, we'll get better here. So well done. Miami Dolphins fire head coach Mike McDaniel. So now 8 openings, a full quarter of the league has turned over its head football coach. The college football semifinals start tonight. Miami versus Mississippi from Glendale. Tomorrow, Oregon versus Indiana from Atlanta. Hurricanes defensive lineman, Canadian Akeem Messidor, looking to improve his draft stock. He was terrific in the quarterfinals, did a big interview with Farhan Lalji. You know what Farhan told me? He said, because Messidor played so well, there was a scrum around him. He caught me out of the corner of his eye, and he went, no, I'm doing that guy first. You know why? Because Farhan is now legend. Farhan is now the Père Noël of the Canadian football community.
Wow.
Kid even said to him, I've been watching you all my life. He was stoked to do the Farhan Lalji on-field TSN interview. Yeah, because this kid grew up in Ottawa. He played high school football. He went to West Virginia. He transferred to Miami. Good player, but you're not getting that shine until you get into a game of that stature.
Wow.
He told the American scrum, no, you can wait.
Oh, Canada.
Mm-hmm. So this, I mentioned those semifinal games because this new tradition for football fans began last year with the expansion of the college football playoffs. 5 consecutive days of high-level elimination football. The 2 college games tonight and tomorrow, then the 3 NFL playoff days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night. Remember? They're on Monday Night Football doing playoffs as well with Pittsburgh and Houston this year.
That's very fun.
Yeah.
Nothing better than elimination football.
And did you see that Houston, the Texans, put out a tweet? What? We're not on the Saturday card? The Houston Texans have been ghettoized in the worst Saturday time slot every single time they've made the playoffs.
Houston.
They've graduated to Monday Night Football.
Wow.
For this year. And a reminder to the 12s, if you want to face Carolina, the team with the worst record in the divisional round, you need the Panthers to beat the Rams, the Eagles to beat the 49ers, and the Bears to beat the Packers. You were probably rooting against LA and San Francisco division rivals anyways. And speaking as a Bears fan, for all Bears fans, glad to have you on board. Beat Green Bay.
There's one upset this weekend, isn't there? Come on.
Upset by seed or upset by point spread? Because those are very different things this year in the wild card round.
Point spread.
And then I saw this and I had to bring it to the show. Blake, who is going to raise the 12th man flag next week at Lumen? And is there a better candidate than Peter Clay Carroll, Seattle resident, franchise icon? Look,
I thought you were going to say Bobby Wagner.
He'd be a good one, too. If it was any other coach, just fired, hasn't made public appearances, in fact, not all that recently fired from this franchise, I would say no way. But this is Pete, man. Nobody is going to bring more enthusiasm to the exercise than Pete Carroll. No one's going to deliver a bigger charge to the crowd, right, than Pete Carroll. Hell, you still have Pete Carroll guys on this team. Can you imagine Kenneth Walker looking up and going, that man right there is responsible for me being selected in the second round and getting a chance to be a starting running back in the National Football League. Oh, that sort of motivation just before kickoff.
Marshawn.
Yeah, but I think Marshawn's done it before, right?
Yeah.
I think, don't you want a guy who's never done it before and somebody with a level of gravitas? Because you may need another one the next weekend in the NFC Championship game.
Does Mike McDonald bristle at that?
I wouldn't think so. I would have to think McDonald's pretty secure. He's had 2 fantastic years. Pete's gone on to another job.
And Pete is done. He's not a threat.
Pete is done. Done.
Yeah.
And are you ready for a name change in Major League Baseball? Because the Athletics, playing in Sacramento right now, soon to be in Las Vegas, will not be the Las Vegas Athletics without cutting a big check. And when is the last time the Athletics cut a big check?
For anything, yes.
How about this? An Oakland A's fan group called the Last Dive Bar, who, needless to say, were vehemently against the relocation of the franchise, protested against owner John Fisher. They have the Las Vegas A's Athletics trademarks. One of their members explained on a podcast, when we saw back in 2024 there was no current filing for the LV Athletics, we couldn't believe it. But then reality set in and reminded ourselves of who runs this team. So John Fisher is now going to have to go cap in hand to this group of fans and say, what's it going to take to buy the name Las Vegas Athletics, Las Vegas A's? Or he's going to have to rename the team. If the pride is too strong there, he may have to rename the team.
I know the feeling. I have been denied at Blake Price on Twitter for a long time. I've wanted it. Yeah. There's a dormant account. A guy that hasn't
lobbied Twitter?
A guy that hasn't posted since 2012 has at Blake Price.
He's at just Blake Price.
Yeah.
Used to be Blake Price 1040, but now it's just Blake Price.
If I subscribe to premium and get the blue check mark,
they'll give you?
You can lobby, but you can't lobby without the premium.
You have no status.
Yeah.
You have no legal representation. You need to put
I don't know if I want it that
blue
badly.
check mark retainer here.
Yeah, I don't know if I want it that badly.
I don't think you need it.
No.
Results of yesterday's poll question. We asked you, are the Canucks sadder than the Sabres? Yes or no? People said
yes.
Percentage?
85.
90.
Ooh.
BK, Sabres have hope to be relevant again this year and next. Canucks have zero chance at that and currently have no sense of direction. Fair.
There is that.
Burry's Flow, 0 elite players, so yes, quite easily. Salt and Paprika. It's close, but I think Sabres fans would trade their team history for ours. More Stanley Cup Finals appearances, more recent playoffs, more Hall of Fame players, even those passing through. They wouldn't trade the current roster, though. Yeah, that's also fair. Smart account, that Salt and Paprika. And then I love the account name here. D Snucks. Says how? They've been in a rebuild for like 30 years. LOL. It's fair, too.
Mm-hmm.
We have one big error and omission from yesterday's program, and oh my God, is this a big error or error on both of our parts? We are both a party to this grievous error, Blake. And thank you to JT at JMoss16 for pointing this out. we were talking about Oilers prospects, and we mentioned that they have a kid down on the farm who's doing okay named Quinn Hudson. And I mentioned, isn't it strange that he's got the first name of, the superstar defenseman in the NFL, small, undersized puck mover, and the last name of another one in Lane Hudson, he's a forward. And you said not related.
And I said to Cole, Lane, and Lars.
Yeah.
And the reason I knew that is because I was looking at the screen and those names were in front of me because I was on the Quinn Hudson Elite Prospects where it said this is how bad we messed this up. I was on the frickin' Elite Prospects.
It was right there in front of your nose.
In fact, it fed me subconsciously the names Lars, Lane, and Cole.
Well,
and yet I didn't.
Blake, here's the thing.
There's 4 of them.
I knew he had 2 other brothers.
No, 3 other brothers.
No, but yesterday I knew of Lars and who's the other one?
Cole and Lane.
Yeah. I knew of Cole and Lars. So I just learned yesterday, oh wait, there's a 4th.
I did know that and I'd forgotten it, and yes.
I did not know that.
Can I just E&O your E&O?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just said he plays in the NFL.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
He
I
plays
could
in
be
the
wrong on that
AHL.
one.
He plays in the AHL.
AHL, yeah.
He has dipped toe in the NHL.
Bakersfield Condors, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
He's got 22 goals in 28 games.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks to JT on that.
Yeah.
Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. It's free, costing nothing. Follow them on social, X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky. We are live, many of those platforms, noon Pacific time weekdays, and we will be noon Pacific time on tomorrow, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, different story. Canucks early starts back east, so we'll be 10 a.m. on those days. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about. Keep it local.